Bill Belichick is taking a major stand, saying Monday he will not be accepting the Presidential Medal of Freedom that Donald Trump planned to present to him on Thursday. Bill releasing the following statement. Quote, recently, I was offered the opportunity to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which I was flattered. But out of respect for what the honor represents and administration for prior recipients, subsequently, the tragic events of last week occurred and the decision has been made not to move forward with the award. Wow, 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 wow. Max, what is your reaction to Bill Belichick drawing that line in the sand?
Well, it's very good that he drew that line. I understand that Trump was supportive of Belichick's, of the Belichicks during Belichick's wife's battle with cancer. And I understand where that can lead to a sense of personal loyalty that goes outside of just someone's opinion of world events or the way a leader is behaving. But in this case, even something like that, this is a zero-sum game. Had he accepted the award, that would have been very, very bad. The fact that he's not going through with it is good. But again, there was either a right answer or a wrong answer here. Either good Belichick or really bad Belichick. And I'll also say that his wording of this was not, in my view, nearly strong enough. He kind of couched it in neutral terms. The fact is, as is obvious, Trump, set the date of a mob scene and then directed the mob scene over to the Capitol building. And they were insurrectionists. And it was one of the darkest days in the history of our republic. I don't think you can accept a medal from that guy right now if you're Belichick. And while I commend him for ultimately doing the right thing, Stephen A., I wish he would have been a little more forceful in his phrasing.
Well, listen, he could have been a bit more forceful in his phrasing, but there are multiple ways to skin a cat, per se, and everybody's not the same. As a black man and as a member of the African-American community in this nation, there have been many, many situations, a multitude of times, where as black people, we wished that there were others who were a bit more outspoken, a bit more vociferous in their language, in their speech, and would attack a particular issue with the level of vigor that some of us would have as well. But everybody's not that way. Bill Belichick is not that way. And so we have to respect that and appreciate where he's coming from. We got the message. We understand what he was saying. In light of what had transpired last week in the nation's capital, at the U.S. Capitol, it was an absolute disgrace. We know where I stand on the record. The president did that. He instigated that situation because I watched his entire speech. I'm not talking about all the other things that he did that people like yourself and others may lament ad nauseum. I'm talking strictly about the speech that he gave prior to those folks walking over to the U.S. Capitol and conducting themselves in the heinous fashion that they conducted themselves in. Bill Belichick alluded to that. He sent that message. And remember, this was a friend of his as well. It's a friend of Robert Kraft's as well. You see a whole bunch of folks that were friends with Donald Trump that really want no parts of him right now. They're not going to advertise it. They're not going to articulate it to the masses. They're not going to get into the weeds of that particular situation or as it pertains to their relationship with him. But make no mistake about it, there's a whole bunch of people that were once friends with him, that once had a strong belief in him, felt that, his beliefs or whatever the case may be were in the right place and in the right direction. And they're thinking about none of that now. They're literally putting country first because they recognize how dire things are at this particular moment in time. And what they're trying to highlight is that we'll leave the political stuff to y'all from a philosophical perspective, from a policy perspective. We'll leave all of that to y'all. When we talk about this particular individual, we're talking about his behavior, how divisive it has been to this country, and we want no part of it. We don't even want to talk about him. We don't even want to mention his name. And I think it's something profound to take away from the fact that that was not mentioned by Bill Belichick, because I think that's how much the president has been ostracized from an awful lot of people that we don't even know yet. people that don't want to be seen with him, people that don't want to talk with him, people that are utterly shocked at how far they believe he has regressed. Somebody like Max and others would say it's always been there. To them, that's not what they saw. They saw something different last week, and as a result, they're thinking about this country, this nation, and what we're supposed to be about. And as a result, they don't want anything to do with them. And when it comes to Bill Belichick, I would remind everybody, one of his closest friends for years, to my understanding, has been Jim Brown. And say what you want about Jim Brown, but Jim Brown was an iconic football player and an iconic figure because he was one of the preeminent faces in the world of sports during the whole civil rights struggle. That's that Jim Brown. That's a guy that's been close with Bill Belichick for many, many years. And most people who know Bill Belichick speak to his character. They don't, him with the media and all that, that's a different ballgame. Him with his friends and people who know him, they talk about what he's about. And he's a very principled man in certain respects. And certain things rub him the wrong way. And last week clearly did.
Well, I do want to give Belichick credit for making the right choice here. But there was no other choice to be made by anyone with any shred of decency. On top of the symbolic stuff that went on, for example, we showed an image of the Confederate flag being waved around in the Capitol building. Stephen A., that never happened in the Civil War. But that happened, a couple days ago. There's that symbolism. Also, a cop was beaten to death by that mob. There was no way any decent moral or ethical person could support a president who has told so many lies, but the latest of which is a series of lies about election fraud in order to whip up a mob of insurrectionists and point them toward the Capitol building. Like, if Belichick would have accepted the award, that would have ended his reputation publicly forever. So he does deserve credit for making the right choice.
But it's not fair.
But here's what choice did he have?
But here's what's not fair. He didn't ask for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I mean, the invitation came his way, and he said no. Now, if it was something he sought, that would be different. But I don't think that we should be looking at it and saying, well, what does he want, a cookie? He made the right decision because he really had no choice. He had no choice. Well, guess what? He didn't ask for it. I mean, the point is it was presented to him. And I'm saying that as a result of that, I don't feel that this particular instance, for his unwillingness to show up there and accept such an honor, he's saying, no, it's not an honor. I don't want to be a part of this because he didn't seek it out. He didn't ask for it. So I don't think this is something to critique him over.
I'm with that. I'm with that. And at the end of the day, particularly in these times, I don't like people who say, but what about this person who enabled and that person who did this? And what about if you make the right decision at the end of the day, you do deserve credit and the person should get credit. Yeah. I would just like to temper the enthusiasm with which we give that credit to Belichick in this instance. He absolutely did the right thing.
I don't see anybody
but the wrong thing here would have been unthinkable.
We're just discussing it. Nobody's enthusiasm.
Yeah.
We ain't waving
but
pom-poms and cheering and having a parade line.
But as far as enthusiasm and elaborating, that's never been Bill Belichick's style. So he's always been principled. He made his point in few words, and he did the same thing here. We'll leave it there. Great discussion, fellas, as always. But let's switch gears to the Cowboys. What did Dallas do yesterday that has us remembering this infamous onside kick coverage?